Let's talk about opportunity. This morning, American Tower, the real estate investment trust that's the largest owner of cell towers on Earth, reported a seemingly disappointing earnings number. Stock sold off hard. But when management spoke on the conference call, buyers rushed in and turned the stock right around. How did that happen? Because demand for cell towers has never been greater. And the action AMT today is the perfect example of why I always urge you to wait until the conference call before you make a move. And that's why I'm thrilled to have Jim Takelet. He's the chairman and CEO of American Tower. Learn more about the quarter and where the company's headed. Mr. Takelet, welcome back to Mad Money. Good to see you, Jim.
Great to be here, Jim.
Well, what a classic one, Jim. I mean, you told a story of demand all around the world. It is a fabulous time to be in your business, isn't it?
It is, and it's the intersection of real estate and technology. Very good place to be as an industry.
I had felt that with 150,000 discrete towers, that there really is, one, no more room, and two, we don't need any more. It's the opposite. There's plenty of room, and you need tons more.
Well, you need a lot more transmitters out there to go from 4 and ultimately to 5G and get everybody on the latest technology. And so the towers that we have today in the U.S., about 40,000 of them. We have some other suppliers in the market. We've got most of the infrastructure we need for the next few years in this country already built. It's a matter of your capacity management. How many more transmitters, how many more layers of equipment can you put on those towers?
Are there ones that are maxed out and you have to get new ones?
There are very few that are totally maxed out. You can almost always, we call it, redevelop the tower, strengthen it, make it taller, whatever you need.
Are there buildings that seemingly could have towers that haven't been contacted yet or don't want it?
Well, there's a few. There's zoning restrictions in a lot of places, first of all. Second of all, when you're in an urban environment like Manhattan, for example, the value of the real estate for office buildings and condos and apartments is greater, so those are used as towers, actually, in some of those locations. But when we need to get a site built in a suburban, rural transportation corridor area, we can usually get it done.
Well, what I thought was most amazing about the call was the story of Brazil, of Argentina, of Mexico, of Nigeria, of South Africa. These are tremendous. India. You tell a growth story in every one of these.
Well, if you think about it, the U.S. and Western Europe, Japan, South Korea, they've been way ahead of everybody else in the world on having mobile telecommunication, mobile connectivity. And so all these other countries should and want to catch up. In India, for example, it's a government policy called Digital India to get everybody onto mobile phone payments, onto mobile IDs, and really accelerate the economy and the way that their people live and the quality of life they have. So we're helping create that environment in these countries because you need the infrastructure to start with, just like everything else, roads, ports, et cetera. You got to have the infrastructure.
Now, the India part of the call was interesting because you said that the market currently is not really a capitalist market, but it sounds like it's going to one, and that's when American Tower wins.
Well, what we would like to see at the end of the day are a handful of well-capitalized, capable cell phone companies that can invest what it takes to get to, say, 4G in India over a reasonable amount of time. It takes a lot of capital to do that. There were too many companies that were trying to provide cell service across India. We knew that would rationalize over some period of time. It's happening right now. In 2 years or so, we think there'll be 4 or 5 mobile operators. There'll be 2 or 3 big tower companies. That's a really rational market. Looks a lot like what the U.S. is today, and that's very constructive for our industry.
Well, I'm glad you brought back the U.S. because there is an overweening fear that if Sprint were ever to merge with, say, T-Mobile, somehow it would be the death of your industry. But what you just described would make me feel like even if you got that so-called bad news for you, it really isn't all that much so impactful.
We don't think it is in the long run, which is the way to look at our infrastructure stock, our real estate
short
stock.
term, I understand the hiccup, right?
Right. There can be short term, either we call it churn, some non-renewals because there's overlap sites and things like that. But over the long term, again, you need well-capitalized companies, whether there's 3, whether there's 4, whether there's 5, to serve the market. There's 320 million people here that are going to want or have already 4G phones. They're going to use between today 4 to 5 gigabits a month. Used to be 1 gigabit a month. Now it's 5. It's going to go to 10 and higher. So when you multiply the number of people with the phones and the amount of data they use per month, that's what drives our industry.
Right, that's a great point.
So it doesn't matter that much.
That's an
is it 3, is it 4, is it 5 carriers? It matters. What's that transition look like?
All right, Jim, I had the privilege today at lunchtime to look at the 10, the iPhone 10. This thing has got to be a tremendous data hog. I mean, I have to believe when I see the 10, that's an incredibly important phone for your industry.
Well, yes, it was. And all the way back in 2007, 10 years ago, it's the anniversary, was the first iPhone. That caused an inflection in our industry because of the features, the quality that you could get with that product. This is sort of a virtuous cycle. You get a great product in your hand. You've got app developers writing for it. You get social media going, now video social media. It's really interesting, even in India. Our GM there was telling us, Amit Sharma, that people that move from villages to the city for jobs, they really want to see their relatives back in the village where they came from when they communicate with them. And they can do this now in India. It's a huge quality of life improvement. So everybody wants these phones. There's a virtuous cycle. You're going to use them more, the better the experience, and it's global. It's a global phenomenon.
Well, you know, what I like is that it doesn't have to be, if you, let's say you like the cell phone industry. I mean, people think it's got to be Samsung or Apple. No, it could be American Tower.
It can be American Tower. And what's great about the product providers, the handset providers, they're reducing the price of these in emerging markets. You can get literally $50 handsets that are probably 60%, 75% the capability of a basic iPhone.
All right, that's a great point, because a lot of people, how could they ever afford this stuff? They're subsidized. That's Jim Takeley, Chairman, President, CEO of American Tower. Long one of our favorite companies, especially during that period where there were guys saying it's not a growth story. Boy, were they wrong. Stick with Cramer. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.